Relatively late on Thursday morning, I got to sleep kind of early last night compared to normal, like 3 in the morning or something like that. And then woke up with a dream that was similar to a nightmare. It's funny because, there's these kind of nightmarish type things that happen in my dreams, but I'm not bothered by them. Whereas some others, I wake up and I'm bothered very much and they seem very normal. I don't know. I never really, I can't remember having nightmares, but anyway. I'm overtired, but I think I'm going to try to see if I can get a little bit in here. It's weird because it's like fucking Thursday. The whole week's gone by, and I just don't understand it ever, like how much time passes. And it happens all the time. And it's not like I've been playing Raid all that much, but I've been watching videos a lot, as usual. No random event of any importance, although we did get into the less common table again. And the Brits get the initiative choice. Again, I don't think I want to I don't think I want to change the flow. I think even the Brits, I think the Brits want to keep it as going second each time. I don't see any reason to grab a turn right now in particular. And that may be the case throughout the entire game. So double turns, there's something like that in the old Third Reich system and all of its derivatives, I think. But there it was incredibly important. It was like you try to engineer to get the turn switch at the right time so that, you could get some kind of big advantage off of it. I think there's a possibility here that's similar to that, but it ain't right now. I'm still on the defensive. What I really want to have happen, I guess, is to go second one turn, launch an attack, and then grab first and launch another attack. But that may, that kind of capability, there's a lot less, there's no real chance to engineer that in this game, unlike in Third Reich. All right. I'll start with the Italians then. Okay, I've set myself up and said another bite at the apple. These guys positioned here, I put the leader with them with a hope of trying to push further, get to that Mersa true line. But we're going to get stopped by the artillery. And now I have the reserve marker, so it's going to be legitimate. First thing I do is I look for my planes. And I think I got to try another fighter sweep thing. I'll come back after that. I don't want to go into too much detail, especially on things I've done before. Otherwise, this game is just going to, the videos are just going to be longer and longer. Okay, so the bombing here in this hex was successful, although the Italians lost another step of plane. It was more than just a disorder, though. I got one of these conditional 1/2s, and I'm taking a step loss. Now, I have painful choices at play. I can take a loss on the 8th Hussars or the 6 RTR or over here on this artillery. Now, to make my mind up on this, I know that these are 7th armor and that in my dead box, I have stuff that's of that type. Now, I have to find this out because there's no... I don't know how you could do it. I mean, I can see ways you could do it using up a lot of space. But to figure out what I have to, what forces there are that are replaceable, etc., I have to go back here and find, and yeah, I already did this, but I have to find the dead pool. Okay, so my choices here are the 4 RHA, which I don't think anything happens to, 8th Hussars, and 6 RTR. Now, I don't think the RHA is, oh, yeah, it is actually as well. So this can turn into the support brigade, the 543 support brigade. I think I'm going to take this as my loss. These others, the 8th Hussars combine, and the 6 RTR. See, the 6 RTR combines with the 2 RTR and the 7th Hussars. And this other one combines with the 3rd Hussars, both to create armored brigades, which maybe aren't as good, but I don't have the option to rebuild any of these units, though, because they have a yellow dot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the particular for this. This is going to be the 7th Armored's 543 Support Brigade. Now, in order to record that this is dead, this is one of the units required for it. I've got to get more dead units in that pile to be able to turn that into a normal dead unit. And then the force is disordered as well. Managed an equally effective bombarding mission on this, killing another unit up there. I flew another cycle of planes in. My artillery is still not really in range. These guys have a range of 1, good Lord. And I don't think I have the supplies to sustain artillery barrages. But as long as I can do it with air, I can go for this. Now, those 2 disorders, I'm going to try to launch 2 attacks, but I got to sustain whatever fire the Commonwealth throws at me. No matter what, I didn't cheat before, even if I'm not playing with the reactive artillery, and I may not be. I actually had a reserve marker buried in that stack, because the unit on top of the stack is an infantry unit of some sort that had moved into it at some point, covered the reserve marker, and I never reapportioned where it was, but the artillery actually was all on reserve. I may want to move forces in to help defend these disordered units. Move non-disordered units into play. Only to figure this out, I have to once again look in the setup, see what units, because some of those units are flipped over, rotated, so that I'm pretty sure there's some kind of movement restriction. It's probably I can't go beyond Mersa Matrua. I did an airstrike here. I chose not to move any of the units out of here. Technically, the artillery is not going to be under the reserve marker after it's been used, I think, but I don't want to shift things around because not much is going to happen. And then the artillery at a cost of 3 tokens that I took from back here, because these are a little further up, and I think I've got them stopped. I mean, I saw the tables I'm rolling on, like the artillery went on all the way over on the 117, which, you know, that's going to just work. I don't have to spend 10 tokens, I spent 3, but the high density of the Italian units means that I get to blow them up. Caused casualties in both cases. The half is a 50-50 chance of casualty losses. Now, I screwed up and I didn't roll for 2 of them, just applied them, but fuck it. I don't feel like trying to undo that particularly. Let's just make the casualties a little higher. And I think that precludes the Italians from attacking. They can attack disordered, but it takes away all their advantages. I don't think this is wise. I think the Italians trying to attack Mersa Matrua is not a good idea here, because what's happening is I'm taking attrition early. But I'm also causing attrition at the same time, which is kind of interesting. So I'm like, yeah, am I actually doing better? Am I doing good or not? I don't know. But what I'm not doing is I'm not getting there. they've got me stymied because of their firepower. And Dean is high if he thinks you can take Marissa Matruh. I'm almost absolutely convinced. I mean, look, maybe there's some kind of trick that can get you there, but there's just enough firepower to hold that line. What the hell is this guy up to? Why is he there? I have the feeling he's in that stack. And it is definitely getting easier. Yeah, sure. I'm still clunking around with the combat rules, but you know, the Brits, I moved them up into place, shifted some of my supplies around. Counting the truck moves is still fucking painful. Basically, I'm using this Matan Bagouche as my main supply dump right now on that side of things. And what that means, yes, I'm shipping some stuff up into Marissa Matruh as well, because I'm not in a zone of control under them yet. But what that kind of means is that that is not a named space over on the distance chart, so I'm shifting things about. Recuperated my planes, placed my reserves back where they were. Didn't really, you know, there's not a lot I can do. And I'm kind of left with, you know, it flowed relatively quickly, and I'm on to the next turn already. I really do need to sleep. I'm tired. I kind of want it not to have to sleep, but yeah, we've you know, stymied the Italian army through use of firepower, and the Italians really need to disorder me in order, and not be disordered in order to make these attacks successful. So, don't know what's going to happen. One thing is those fighter sweeps. Sure, I might knock out the fighters, be able to get my bombers in, but then I don't have a fighter to react to their bombers. But their bombers aren't the only problem. They also have significant artillery, so it's like, I just don't have the fire. I don't have the comparative firepower and capability. I don't have enough to stop their firepower is what it really comes down to. And that's not so hot. What is up with this armored unit here? This thing, 7 RTR, I think this thing is mobile. Put that like that. All right. But I'm gonna take a break again. However, I am relatively impressed again that I'm getting into the pacing, that I'm getting used to what needs to be done, etc. It's a big hurdle, and it almost feels like I must be cheating at this point. Like I must be missing something major, but I go over it all in my head and I'm like, yeah, I think I got it. You know, obviously I don't have it all down pat, but I think I made a big jump at this moment. Okay, so as I was trying to set up a video to snooze you again, I noticed there was a comment, and I've been fucking something up. For fighter sweeps, in these, a fighter is moved to a hex with an active enemy aircraft and engages in air combat. Win or lose, the mission fighter is aborted. There's no limitation to what kind of aircraft you can attack. And my fighter sweeps should have been able to beat up the British bombers as well. Now, the answer to this is for those bombers, and this might cost me some supply in some way or another, have a huge fucking range. I'm gonna say, in order to avoid some of the problems that I've had, that they're based somewhere else. Now, with their range, I'll make that over here. You know, I've got 146 and 200. I may have done something wrong, but I think this comes the closest to accurately describing what I've got going on. Likewise, the Italian bombers are behind the lines enough. And that's enough to protect you. If you have complete air superiority, you can shift your bombers close to the enemy without much worry. But I don't have complete air superiority on either side. So it only makes sense to have the bombers in the back ends. And I think this should fix, if those bombers had always been in Alexandria, and would I have had to reshift them at some point? Yeah, sure, but they could refit near Alexandria. There's infinite supply there, so there's no problem with this, even if I might have done it on the first turn of the game or whatever, even if I'm forced to have those planes at Marsa Matura. And this will then mean that everything that I did kind of works correctly. Because otherwise, those Italian planes, as soon as they knock out the British fighters, assuming that they could, this time they neutralized them at their own cost. But otherwise, as soon as they knock out the British planes, then they can fighter planes. Then they can start picking on the bombers. This doesn't feel like a sweep to me. This feels like an anti-air operation. Like it feels like I should be doing some sort of bombing or something to impact those bombers on the ground. Like I shouldn't be able to just freely say, "Yeah, I'm okay." I'm just able to engage them in air-to-air combat, even though they're on the ground. Now, granted, I can do strafing and stuff like that, but honestly, yeah, there's the concept of protected planes, though, at an air base, which might have actually fixed some of this. I don't know where that rule is. I just remember reading that there are, that the disadvantage, one of the disadvantages of airstrips is that planes can't be protected or can't be considered protected. So what do we got here? The only thing I know to look up in here is to look for P for protected. And I don't see that. Maybe air bases. This is just hard because air bases, special combat's 9.14F. I doubt it. Cards? What the fuck? 15.5. What the hell's that? You get the feeling that it's like, use an off-map. Oh, here we go. Air bases. This might help. Cards is not on here. Maybe it's an option somewhere else, but see, under airstrips. Oh, you know what? The protected is over in this rule book, which would be back in the 2.1 rules. So this may just not exist here because I'm not seeing anything. But it feels very, very strange to me that the way you take out bombers is with a fighter sweep. To me, a fighter sweep means sweeping the enemy fighters out of the sky to get the air superiority. Now, here's the thing. The fighter sweep exhausts my fighters when I do it. And that means that they wouldn't still be available to intercept or, to interdict any kind of takeoff from the base. So I think that's what it's trying to reflect is, okay, look, if you're committed to patrolling the air and to air superiority type missions, you would have to do something to indicate that it's on station and able to knock out the enemy. I think the original rules had more complexity in them, in this sort of thing, with the idea of the protected planes. Remember there being on-station discussions in the original DAK, rulebook 2. And it's like, that's odd. Well, I think that the game has been simplified to get rid of some of these kind of clunkier features, but in doing so, we've gotten a little bit more abstraction in play. And now it's it's time I have to play Raid, basically, for various reasons. I might be able to stop partway through before light completely goes, but it looks like I missed a fucking beautiful day. On top of that, somebody pointed out how long this marker is. I knew it was long, but yeah, it's like, so there's 9 months, or 9 turns in each month, except for February, where